Welcome to Forever, man. Let's go. Come on. This forever. No surrender. Yeah. You know that this right here forever. Go. And there will be no surrender. Now allow me to reintroduce myself.
You're now tuned in to the Dads Who Live podcast. I'm Joel Staley with my co-host Tyler Gaeta. In this episode of the Dads Who Live podcast, we talk to my buddy and financial advisor, Dylan Javorsky. We talk about which type of investments you should be looking at, how to set your family up for success. We go on a few tangents and we wrap up talking about some good real estate investing tips so you can have your money working for you. Make sure you check it out. You are now tuned in to the Dads Who Live podcast with your host, Joel Staley.
As always, Tyler Gaeta.
And
Dylan Javorsky.
you are not a host.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, we will introduce you, bro.
Okay, I got you. I'm new to this.
So, Dylan Javorsky, our guest today. Well, why don't you tell people how we met? Because it's kind of a funny story.
Yeah, so how we met was I DM'd Joel, cold DM on Facebook, which
And then they went out on a date.
Right, yeah. No, I DM'd him on Facebook just trying to see. I saw he had a kid and was married, and I was specializing in life insurance at the time. So I DM'd him. He read it and did not reply. So after going through all the messages, after going through all the messages, I DM'd him again. And then he finally replied.
FU money's in the follow-up.
Yep, the follow-up is where the money's at. And so after I DM'd him again, he replied and said, "Do those cold DMs ever work?" And I was like, "You tell me." And then we end up meeting afterwards or doing a phone call, and the rest is history.
The rest isn't history because on that phone call, I sold Dylan a fitness program.
That's true.
Then I called Amy afterwards, and I was like, "You trying to sell me, motherfucker? I sell you."
That's true.
But we've been really good buddies since. I have been having him handle all my financial stuff like that. So it has been real, but
It's a win-win.
And Dylan, what do you do?
So right now, my day job, I guess, is insurance. Pretty much it. I do work at Farm Bureau, home, auto, life insurance. We do investments as well. So pretty much that whole financial platform, one-stop shop is kind of what I do.
So 3 things we want to cover on this podcast. One is if you die today, is your family set up? That's obviously important as a dad, as a leader of the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gaeta had an
Especially with all
awesome
this
idea.
crazy shit going on right now in the world.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the coronavirus.
Right.
What? Did you ever get any details on the fucking, Hy-Vee in our area got shot up?
We started talking about it a
Last
little bit.
night.
My buddy's wife was in line there checking out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And from what I heard from a single Facebook post, so I haven't been watching the news or anything. It happened pretty late last night.
Yeah.
Ish, but
I heard an automatic weapon.
Yeah.
I didn't hear if anybody died.
It sounded like a concealed carry guy took him out. And Hy-Vee ushered people into the back, and it was very well, even under a bunch of stress, it was very well handled.
So I have my concealed carry, and I'm a big advocate for concealed carries, and this is exactly why you should have a concealed carry.
Yeah.
I actually told my brother, I was like, "Man, you need to get a gun," because he lives right down the street. He could have been there. And he wasn't. We were actually together. We went for a bike ride, but I'm like, "Dude, you need to get a gun." And it's like, "Oh, I can just borrow one of yours if shit gets real bad." No, man. I mean, I have a lot, but no, you need to get your own. He's like, "Well, places like that, even if you have your concealed carry, they still say that you can't go in. Like it says it on the door." I'm like, "Yeah, but you just fucking do it anyways." I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure that is a store policy. It's not a law. If you have a concealed carry
to read all those little signs.
Well, if you have a concealed carry, you can legally carry anywhere. The store can kick your ass out because it's their policy. but you ain't going to fucking jail.
And I bet Hy-Vee's glad they didn't kick that guy out.
Yeah,
if that's what really
same
happened.
with churches, shit like that. I think the only things you actually cannot conceal carry in is like bars and federal institutions,
Government buildings.
yeah,
Yep.
banks, stuff like that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But churches, Hy-Vee, movie theater. I always take my pistol in movie theater.
Yeah, I'm
Always.
looking forward to hearing what that was all about because I don't know. They said it was by the pharmacy, so I don't know if he was trying to get some masks.
I heard that too.
Or
But I mean,
medicine,
fuck,
or pills, maybe. I don't know. Who knows?
A fucking automatic weapon though, or
Maybe he's like just was trying to get some oxy or some shit from behind the counter just to like sell. I have no idea.
I don't know. We'll have to look into it. Come back to that. So, anyways, not to get off on a tangent about that, but I'm just saying that shit is getting wild in this world. There's all kinds of stuff going on, and you have to be careful.
Yeah, and that's a good segue. So you had the idea to talk about with the coronavirus going on. Obviously, it's a pretty bear market right now, meaning stocks are down. It's a good time to invest because historically, a bull market's always followed a bear market. So basically, you're getting stocks half off right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk to Dylan a little bit about what maybe he might recommend as far as investing goes, if you want to go that route. And last thing I wanted to touch on was real estate because Dylan's 24 years old and has
Youngin'.
how many units at this point?
30. Just hit 30 units.
30, and you just started doing this
7 months ago.
so obviously a good guy to talk to about investing in real estate too. So a lot on the table today.
Yeah. And to your first point, the stocks really, I mean, I don't know what our audience, if it's more beginner or high level. The high level probably already know what they're doing, but beginner stocks really Amazon, Apple, and Facebook right now are three big ones. They're at a discount right now, and they're just going to be used in this quarantine.
So, I was talking to my financial guy yesterday because I'm getting ready to invest and, throw some money into the market as soon as he thinks it hits the low.
Sure.
Which I think everybody's kind of waiting around right now a little bit, thinking it's going to go a little bit lower. But he said the same thing about technology companies.
Mm-hmm.
But I've also, if you think about it, like Amazon, Apple, they're only down like 25%.
Yeah.
And so if you go into, and this is more of a question I'm getting into for you, but if you go into like Royal Caribbean, United, Southwest, even I think Harley's down quite a bit. You go into some of those companies that are really getting hit from this right now, then they're down like 80%. So why wouldn't you invest in the ones that are down like 80% that are probably going to get bailed out anyways if they go bankrupt over these ones like Apple that are only down like 25%?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it has to do with your risk tolerance. So, like I was saying, the beginners, Apple, Amazon, Facebook, they're going to be good ones. But for you or people that are more willing to risk, I definitely believe in the airlines, the Caribbean would be great ones to invest into.
Why is that a bigger risk? Because from how he questioned it, it's like they're down. They're going to come back. Cruises aren't going to be.
I know
down
why
forever.
though. So here's the thing. This is like a 9/11 market crash. But it's all fear-based, completely fear-based and fear-driven. So the market's going to be back up in 6 months to a year. So if you invest in companies that don't have to get bailed out and don't like go bankrupt, say they're only down 25%, then they're going to be back up to where they are or more in 6 months to a year is what everybody's saying. So you can basically, double your money or make, whatever. You're going to make money on you're going to get a return in a short amount of time. To where if you go into one of these companies that have to be bailed out, they're more likely to take probably like 5 years to come back.
Yeah, it's going to take 5 years.
So you're going to get more return, but you have to wait 5 years to get your money. So what's better? I mean, is it better to get your money quicker and take less return, but then you can invest it in other shit and maybe you made the same amount of money? Or is it better just to wait the 5 years and hopefully you had a bigger return than, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's like up in the air.
Well, I'm officially the dumbest guy in the room, which means I'm doing things right because I always heard that's what you want to be.
Yeah, well, I don't see. And here's the other thing: is who's to say one of the airline or cruise companies can't go bankrupt? I don't see it happening, but you never know how long this virus will last, how much of an impact it can take. So you do run the risk of losing all your money if you invest into something like that.
Now that's why people were saying though to invest in things that are probably going to get bailed out.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
But I've also heard, and I don't know enough about this. This is where I sound
Like me.
Yeah, not intelligent. But my guy was also saying something when I talked to him, because I brought that question up to him about how if you invest in a company that does go bankrupt and have to get bailed out, then the government can end up owning a big portion of that company, and then you don't make out anyways. You don't get as much of a return. And to me, that doesn't make sense. I don't really know how that works, but maybe you know more about that.
I'll be honest, I'm not an expert with that. But I would agree with your guy that if the government's buying the company or the government's taking over, they're obviously not going to bail you out your stocks and your return. Right. They're buying the company's debt and all that.
Kind of like they're restarting on some level. So you're like, you're shit out of luck. We're restarting without you, kind of.
Right.
I think it depends on how it's structured, though, because I know a lot of those people that were bailed out from, was it Ford and GM that went under?
Yep, GM.
I'm pretty sure that they made pretty good money when it came back up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But I will say, like, if you're worried about fucking getting through this, like you don't have work, your work shutting down, or your work could take a hit or whatever, like I save your money and make sure you're okay.
Why would Amazon and Facebook be down right now, though? Because I feel like, especially if supermarkets are running low on stuff, Amazon's my next thing. Check to see if they have it. And if everyone's working from home, we all know like how that goes. You're really working at like 60% Facebook all day. It's at least running in the background. Why would they take a hit?
Right. With this going on, just everyone's taking a hit with the coronavirus. Obviously,
I think the workers, like the warehouses.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's.
I heard Amazon's hiring like 1,000 new people or something around the nation.
Yeah, they are. They are sort of those.
They just shut it down to where they're not taking regular orders. It's only health orders, like things that are gonna.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
They're also affecting a lot of those proxy deliveries, where like people, in smaller communities, they don't have the big Amazon trucks. People will sort of be the Uber, if you will. They're sort of like Uber drivers for Amazon,
yeah.
And they go to shipping centers and they go and make the deliveries because they're in a community that doesn't have enough drivers or whatever. So those people are pretty much out of work too. So, and some of those people made pretty decent livings doing that. And, Uber drivers are seeing a drop off on certain levels too, because people aren't going to bars. They're not using Uber. They're using their own cars because they're not drinking. They're not going out to bars and stuff. So, I mean, that's.
Oh, that was the other one you said, Uber?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. That makes sense.
So, yeah, I mean, there's going to be some advantages out there to people who want to buy. But
the way that stocks work too is stocks can be a fear-based market, it doesn't. If something's going on and people think that a stock is going to drop, a lot of people might just fucking sell all their stock. And then if they sell all their stock, that stock's going to tank, even if the company necessarily isn't doing bad, right?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's not, Amazon could be making more money right now than they ever have. But if people are too scared of the market and think that everything's tanking and they freak out and sell all their shit, then everything's going to drop regardless.
That's crazy. Yeah. I need to get in on the market at some point. Like you said, I don't think it's at its lowest point yet.
He said it. Well, my dude said he thinks it's coming soon.
Yeah.
Like within the next week or two. So, because the government's throwing, the way he put it is the government's doing the fattest line of cocaine into the economy that they've ever done. Like they're doing so much, stimulus stuff and pumping so much money in the stock market.
$1 trillion, basically.
Yeah.
A trillion or maybe even two, but they're potentially toying with the idea of giving everybody, for as long as this lasts, $2,000 a month. They're toying with the idea. They're almost positive it'll be $1,000 a month. And and they're talking across the board. So this is like the Andrew Yang, but you know what they did? They did this back in freaking the 40s or whatever, right after the Depression, before World War II started, before we got into World War II. Cause I guess it started in 38, but we didn't join until whatever, 42 or whatever. But the point is and you fact check me, please. but I'm pretty sure, was it Truman? Was he the president at the time where they did?
I have no fucking clue, man. I'm not good with
it. Was
history.
It was like the top 10% of the country was paying like 70% tax.
Wow.
So they've had this before where the richest were the stimulus. They were the ones to get the economy going, in the Great Depression. Yeah. So again, fact check me, but I'm pretty sure I'm somewhere in that range where it's like 70% tax if you were made X amount or over. So that's probably what's going to happen. They just had a meeting with Bezos yesterday. The White House has been, Bezos is going to, because he is in the medical field. They are medical distributors. They're not manufacturers, but they're distributors. So they distribute a lot of third party and primary. They make masks. They make.
I'm pretty sure that's what I saw last night. Is that Amazon was going to shut down all the normal bullshit deliveries,
and they're going to become
sales and just do medical until they can get caught back up.
Yeah. So that's going to help them and then the government will have to pay a fraction of the price for that stuff.
Damn.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for the people in the service industry, man, because my companies are going to take a hit. People probably aren't going to be putting in $250,000 backyards this summer, with pools and patios and all kinds of shit. But we still have maintenance work. Like, we're still going to get through it. I still have work, but people that are in the service industry that are in these restaurants that are shut down and servers and bartenders and they are fucked.
Yeah. It's pretty much known that if you are a skilled laborer, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Cars, any type of construction, because we still have to have it. It's something you still have to have.
Experts.
There's certain things that'll always. Oh yeah, there you go.
I was going to ask you, have you seen any dips yet in sales?
It's only Wednesday so far this week. I'm doing all right, but also I've been sleeping in all week. So I thought
you were waking up at 3 a.m. all week.
I did on Monday. And here's what I told the guy I'm supposed to be checking in with is if I set my alarm for 3:10 every night.
Yeah.
If I wake up and it's 3:10 to the alarm, it's like, all right, I'm getting up. The problem is Tuesday, Wednesday, I wake up. Tuesday, Kennedy was screaming at 1:30 in the morning. So from 1:30 to 2, I'm looking at that phone. I'm like, there's no fucking way I'm waking up in an hour. Just turn it off.
Right.
And last night, I woke up at 2 o'clock to piss. And then I was like, ooh, hour and 10 minutes, huh? Nah.
Bump it up a little bit.
As long as I wake up to the alarm, I'm good.
Yeah.
But if I wake up before, happen to pee in the middle of the night, Joel's like, nah, we ain't playing that shit.
Just bump it ahead an hour, man. Could be all right.
I know.
Get one more hour.
I know. That's what I got to do. But
so we kind of got off on a tangent here, but if you have the money to, if you're safe, if you need to keep your nest egg to pay your fucking bills and eat, I personally, if the government, I think the government's doing a great job through this whole thing. But I personally wouldn't rely on the government. You know what I mean? I always try to make sure that I'm taking care of myself. So if they end up doing a stimulus, that's fucking awesome. I think that's great. It's money that we're going to have to pay back later through taxes that are probably going to get, raised and things of that nature. But either way, you have to help people out. You have to keep your nation going. I totally get it. But I wouldn't rely on the government. I never rely on the government. So I'd say keep your nest egg if you have to, but if you do have cash to invest, definitely invest it.
Yeah.
speaking of relying on people, I'm working on my segues.
Yeah.
So I was telling Dylan before you got here, I was talking to a gentleman last night, 350 pounds, 30 years old. We're on the phone because his doctor essentially told him that he wasn't going to be around to see 40 if he stayed on the same path he was on. 19-month-old daughter, wife. The conversation kind of led to like, all right, man, do you want to save the extra X amount of dollars, or do you want to be around to walk your daughter down the aisle because you told me your daughter or your doctor said you're not going to be here? So I wanted to get into the point, like when he didn't want to move forward, I almost wish I gave him Dylan's information because, all right, well, if you're not going to be here in 10 years,
life insurance, bro.
That's what we're getting at. Then at least at the bare minimum, if your daughter's not going to have her dad, is she going to be set up for success once you're gone? And that's what Dylan does. So Dylan, do you see that a lot, that people aren't set up for success if something happens?
Yeah, I see that a lot. And that's why I have the passion to cold DM people on Facebook or cold call someone, is because, I want to make sure I'm doing my part. I believe in it. You got to sell what you believe in. And, there's a lot of different, as Gata and a lot of different types of life insurance. If that guy is short on money, there's some life insurance that's really inexpensive. I have a lot of my money and into universal life insurance, whole life insurance, where the market's up and down. It's an investment and life insurance. So mine's not getting hurt at all right now. My money's still growing. So there's lots of different types of life
Most
insurance.
mine's in variable.
Variable. Yep. And
What's mine in, Dylan?
yours is in whole life insurance right now,
All right.
which is good.
What's the difference in whole life and variable?
So whole life insurance is pretty much a steady gain, about 4 or 5% every year, especially if you're in a good company. And variable insurance is kind of tied to the market. So I think you have a cap of about 12.5%. The market's at 30, you're making 12.5. And right now, if the market's down 30, you're making 0. So you got a floor and a cap. So it's really all based on.
So you pansies took the safe bet.
Yeah, we took the safe bet. Our
I
money's
do
still
what my
growing.
expert tells me to do.
Right. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of different options, but the main thing is making sure your family's okay when you're gone. You know, it's a reality of life. So
So how does someone go about doing that? Because like you and I, we've met at Chipotle. You've come over to my house. We've had multiple calls on the phone. You're talking Chinese to me.
right.
I think this is one of those things that everybody knows they need to do. And so everybody's like, you bring up life insurance. Like, oh yeah, I've been meaning to do that. It's like a will, man. Everybody says they need to get a fucking will, but nobody ever gets a fucking will.
Until you twist their arm or something.
Yeah.
right?
And I have a will, but I need to redo my will. And I'm the same way. Like I've been saying, man, I need to redo my will for like 3 years and I've not redone my will,
Same,
you know? So
yeah.
it's like one of those fucking things. At least I have a will, but still, yeah, it's one of those things that everybody says they need to do, but never do. So what is the easiest steps, man? And how hard is it? I guess, is it a lengthy process? Is it a quick process? Just kind of give people some insight, of how they can go about getting some life insurance, even just some term life insurance.
Yeah.
To where if they die, their family's going to be covered.
Yeah, I mean, the process is reaching out to someone like myself, insurance agent, you know, if you know anyone, or obviously, you know, small plug for me, you know, DM me on Facebook.
And where can people find you?
So yeah, they can find me. I have a website, Javorsky /FBFS.com. You know, I'm sure I'll be on the Dads Who Live podcast with my name and stuff, so they can reach out there.
Yeah, we'll have you in the show notes for sure.
So yeah, I mean, that's how it's not the quickest process. You got to go we pay for a nurse to come to your house, make sure, hey, you don't have any huge underlying conditions. And then from there, it's just choosing what is right for your situation.
So that's a good point that you mentioned, is talking to somebody, an expert. I want to expand on that a little bit, because there are going to be, in any industry, people trying to take advantage of you. Like I just said, when you start talking about life insurance, it's just something I've always struggled with. If I don't really care about it that much, I tune out. I start thinking about working out and like whatever.
Joel does that with a lot of things. He'll be like, huh? What'd you say?
I just kind of
And I've been talking for like 15 minutes.
Not only is it important to find an expert and let the expert be an expert, because it is very important. I'm not going to take the time to learn everything like you have over the last 10, 15 years or whatever, if you've been studying it since you were 9.
Yeah, right.
But you want to find someone not only that is an expert, but someone you trust.
Yeah.
Because if you're speaking Chinese to me, you could very easily be talking me into paying you a bunch of money where I'm getting very little benefit.
Right.
I know you. We go out and get whiskey like probably once a week ish, once every couple of weeks. Worst case scenario, we're buddies. Finding someone that you can trust is huge too, and that's you in my book.
I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. Someone that, you know, can vouch for you and knows you're not going to take advantage of them is huge. So I appreciate you saying that.
So for the process of life insurance, how it was for me is basically you have to get a hold of, you know, professional, whoever you want to use, someone that you can trust. Go into their office, figure out exactly what you want to buy into and how much it's going to be. And then they just sent me to get my blood work done at a lab. But if you have people come to you, that's great. But then they take your piss, they take your blood, make sure all your levels are right, make sure you don't have fucking kidney failure or some underlying issues, something like that. And they do a slight background check. I think it gets a little crazier depending on how much life insurance you're trying to get.
Yeah.
And if they come back and approve you, then you're good to go. And you just pay it. So it's like one sit down, one panel, and then a phone call. So it's really not that hard. Like, it's not like you're going to walk in and get life insurance today, but it's not a long process. Like, it doesn't take a lot of your time.
No, it doesn't.
You know what I mean? And so I've got a pretty funny life insurance story. So I've got my life insurance set up, and when I first bought it, I bought some variable and then some term that I could turn into variable down the road if I ever wanted to. So as things went along, I turned everything into variable. And so I was talking to my guy, and I was like, man, I want to get more, so I was trying to get more term, and my plan, and this was a lot of term, but my plan was to turn some of it into variable every year for basically 10 years until it was all into variable. Because in variable life insurance, and I may be speaking foreign to a lot of people, but variable is basically like it's a life insurance policy, but it's got a 401k, and it's like a 401k and a Roth IRA mixed together, right?
Yep.
So you put money in, you pay taxes on the money that you put in, but then you don't pay taxes when you pull it out, and it gains interest and accrues. And it's also your life insurance policy. So you can actually get to a point in a variable policy to where you paid in so much that if you want to stop paying in, your policy will actually just pay for the your interest will pay for the policy the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But if you continue to pay in, then that'll continue to grow interest, and you can pull money out. Like the way mine's set up right now, I think when I'm 50 or 55, I can pull out like $250,000 a year just off interest.
Tax free.
Yeah, tax free, and you can live the rest of your life. And then you still have, like, if say it's a $3 million policy, whenever you die, you still have that $3 million that pays out regardless, plus whatever's left in that account, if there's anything left in the account.
Yeah.
So I was trying to get more term because I wanted to turn it into more variable. And this was a large amount of term that I was trying to get. So they had, I'll speed the story up. So, but they had, they want to get your financials. They want to make sure that you have enough money to be able to, I don't even know why. If someone's trying to buy shit and pay for it, I don't know why they give a fuck how much money you make, but they do. Like, they want your financials. They want to make sure you make enough money to have that much, insurance and whatever. But what I'm getting to is I did my blood work and my panel, and everything came back perfect. And this is where things get a little trickier, the larger amounts you're trying to get. So they came back, and this is like the biggest bullshit ever. But I guess so they did this extensive background check. Like, it was like a month-long fucking background check for this policy. It was crazy. And I guess they found when I was like 16 or 18, I had done a cycle of steroids, and I must have told one of my doctors at that time. And someone, like, it was buried. Like, I had no clue, but someone had put it in my medical notes that client or patient or whatever had said that he had done a cycle of steroids. So they came back and denied me. And they were like, yeah, and my panel was perfect. Like, I'm not on steroids now. I wasn't on steroids at the point. Like, my levels were perfect. My I didn't have too much protein. My kidney function was great. And they still came back and denied me because of what I did in the past. So I'm just saying that because we're a Dads Who Live group. And
Stay natty out there.
well, just don't fucking tell anybody. Like,
that's probably smarter.
don't let that shit go into your medical, notes, because I mean, if you're just trying to get a 1 to 3 million, you're probably all right. They're not going to look that hard. But if you ever get to a point to where you want to get a lot, that shit all matters.
We'll find something.
So now I got to wait. Like, my dude told me to wait like 2 years, and then I got to retry. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Yeah, I was going to say, you must have been asking for a pretty big amount of life insurance in order to dig that deep.
Yeah.
So
So real quick. So with the variable, you have to put in money every month to sustain variable. And I'm pretty sure it's 1 million of term life insurance turned into variable. You have to pay a minimum of $500 a month on that million, right?
Yeah.
So basically, the more variable you have, then you have to pay a monthly payment. So you have to be able to, you can buy as much as you want term and not turn it, but the term is usually like 20-year term. So after 20 years, if you don't die, shit's gone and nobody gets it. The nice thing about variable is once you turn that term into variable, it's there forever for the rest of your life. It doesn't expire. So if you can turn, say, $1 million a year into variable and be able to pay that monthly payment. So, but like, say you have $2 million a year in variable, so then you're paying $1,000 a month on that insurance. Next year, you turn another $1 million into variable, then you're paying $1,500 a month. The next year, you turn another $1 million into variable, and you're paying $2,000 a month. So the more you turn into variable, you have to pump more money in, so you have to make sure that you can sustain it. But that's how you get like huge fucking returns. And I set one up, and for everybody out there, this is like, you need to set these up for your kids. We haven't talked about that.
Kids policies, yep.
But my son has a variable life insurance policy. And not only does he have life insurance if something were to happen, which God, hopefully nothing ever does, but he also has, it's also an investment. So for him, these things accrue interest over time. So the longer that you have this policy, the more interest and the more money it's going to accrue and the more money it's going to make. So for his policy, I'm only putting like $300 a month, I think, into his variable. And I started all these, probably only like 5 years ago. And by the time he's 18 and ready for college, there's going to be like over $100,000 in there for college of interest, just from $300 a month. And then if I kept it, or if I gave it to him and he continued to pay that $300 a month from 18 till like 50, there was like, I don't remember exactly, but there was like fucking $16 million in that account or something like that.
300 a month. I believe it.
Yeah.
For that many. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn.
So that's insane, right? That's like, you talk about setting your family up if something happens. Like, I want to set my kid and my family up like to where, grandpa did it right type shit. Like, there's money trickling down from my son to their kids.
Even if something doesn't happen, they're set up.
Well, that's what I mean, because it's a variable. So like, even if nothing ever happens to him, he's still got this basically like piggy bank, and and then you can structure the money to where, that's where a will comes in. If something does happen, they don't get it, put it into a trust or whatever you want to do.
Right. P.S. Joel, you got that for Kennedy. So good job.
Hey, thanks.
Yep.
Nice.
All right. I'll quit rambling for a minute.
Sorry to segue real quick. I found some facts on your shooting yesterday.
Yeah. Sure.
So, it actually, the concealed carry that got this guy. So Omaha police Wednesday identified a man who fired some shots outside and inside the Southwest Omaha Hy-Vee. I'm not going to name his name, but he is a male, 21 years old. No other demographics were associated with that.
His name.
What's his name?
Yeah.
You want the name?
Yeah.
it
Fuck it.
Jacob Mule.
Jacob Mule.
Muhle. Jacob Mule.
This is
I
the
don't
one
know
with the
him, but I
concealed
know
carry.
he's a
No,
bitch.
no. This is actually the suspect. So he's facing.
Well, then he's.
Oh yeah, that's why I didn't want to name it, because that's a suspect. So I may cut that out.
Yeah.
But anyway, he's facing several charges: assault, terroristic threats, firing a gun into a building.
He didn't die? I thought he died.
No, so we're gonna get there. 5 counts of use of a gun by a felon. So he had an illegal firearm. Okay, which most these crimes are. Well, that's actually not true.
So he's already
Some are
a
legal.
felon.
Yeah. So he was already.
At
so he
21,
got
he's
it
already a
illegal.
felon?
Yeah,
Holy
got it
shit.
illegal. Anyway. The concealed carry person that took him out was a off-duty deputy chief police.
Nice.
Yeah. So big ups to Douglas County Police. So what happened was apparently this guy was sitting in the parking lot for 30 minutes and just biding his time, waiting to do whatever he's going to do. Shot 2 vehicles in the pharmacy drive-thru, then walked up to the store, shot a front window and a monitor. Several people ran. They went and hid. People were very, very quiet. This off-duty police was hiding as well and telling everybody just be quiet and stay where you are. At the time, ran towards the shooter, was able to, garrison himself between some shelves, whatever. And he and a customer were able to tackle the suspect, take the gun away, and take him into custody.
Dang.
So,
crazy.
so minor injuries. One woman suffered minor injuries running out of the store. So
nobody died.
So nobody got. I believe no bullets
Hit anybody.
hit any human beings.
I mean, that's a plus, man. Obviously, thank God.
Yeah.
But
So-
still, that dude's a bitch.
Did that lady trip? How'd she get hurt?
She was just like tripping.
She was probably.
Yeah.
She needs your program, probably. Not to be.
Well, yeah. So they're still investigating the motive. They say apparently this guy was sitting in the parking lot for 30 minutes. That was basically it.
Nuts.
Not to get off on a tangent, because this is like a financial podcast, but mental health is a real fucking deal. And these people need to get some fucking help. That dude's obviously sick. Like, if you're having issues, if you're having thoughts of shit like this, go get some fucking help. Like, you don't need to harm anybody else. Like, you're out at the grocery store trying to do your fucking apocalypse shopping when the whole grocery store is empty already, and then you got to worry about someone shooting you
And
up.
you get wrapped
Yeah,
up like a bitch.
I think there's a lot that goes into this, though, and I'm not. Again, I really won't take it that far, but I will say that there's underlying issues all over the place, and in order to fix that, we have to get to the root of the problem. obviously mental health, but why are we so mentally unhealthy in this country? Part of it has to do with our current climate, as far as social media and whatnot.
Yep,
but also,
I agree.
But right, like we talked a little bit about immediate gratification and how like there's these incels, which are they're involuntary celibates. In other words, they don't want to be celibate, but no girls will take them seriously. Now, at 21 years old, a male brain, barely fully developed. Now, there are some studies that say that, between the ages of like 18 and 21 is where you go through your biggest development with hormones and brain development, all this stuff. There's a reason why there's a law. You can't rent a car unless you're 25 years old. It has a lot to do with just, financial responsibilities, insurance. You have to be insured for a certain amount of time, all these other things. There's probably should be a law that says you have to be 25 or older to own a firearm. I mean, think about all of the rage that people go through at that young age. Just imagine if social media were around when I was. I mean, shoot, I'd probably be in prison. Because I mean, it's just there's so much FOMO. Fear of missing out on all these things that you see all your friends. And in high school, you got made fun of, you know, all this stuff. I just dealt with it. I just, whatever. I got made fun of. People call me names, whatever, and you move on, I got into the weight room and that's how I dealt with it and started playing football. And then pretty soon they were, handing me trophies and medals. But that's not everybody deals with that. Not everybody gets into sports. Not everybody learns the team. They don't have a healthy structure at home. So the underlying issue becomes they start getting on these pharmaceutical meds and then they can't get any more of those because they've abused them. Then they start looking for other means. And then, it's a slippery slope from there. And I'm not saying that everybody goes through that, but everybody in their life has to deal with their depression. But
absolutely.
But some people don't deal with it. They find.
Yeah, I don't know about 25, and I don't want to get into a gun debate, but I will say that I think mental health should be a bigger part of everyday life. Like we should have. Like you go to the doctor's office, right? And so as you're a child, you go to the doctor's office every 6 months and do your checkups or whatever. I think we should be doing mental health checkups too. Like you should have a psychiatrist or whatever in the doctor's office. And it's not just a physical fucking checkup. It's a mental health checkup. Like people, and the whole social media thing, I don't know how you go about that because it's so, everything is social media now. And I think social media has its place, like our group, our Dads Who Lift group, I think can be used for a lot of positive things.
Some people still manage to make it negative sometimes if they want to.
Right. But it can be used for a lot of positive things. Like you can get support from people around the world. You can get different opinions from people around the world. It has its time and place, right? But the people that put everything that they have into this social media, it's bringing everybody down, because social media is a fucking highlight reel. It's a fucking highlight reel. Like the things that you see, even on my social media, are not. It's not like what it might be like what a part of my life is, but it's not
the
what
good parts.
Yeah,
right?
but it's
That's
not
what you put on.
Yeah, it's not everyday fucking life. Like I don't have. Sometimes if it's funny, maybe I do, but I don't have me and my son arguing and me grounding him because he won't fucking get off his Xbox and clean up his room or whatever it is on my social media. I get us in the hot tub an hour before. Taking a picture, chilling out, living the life. And that's how everybody does it. So people see this highlight reel on social media that's complete bullshit and they judge themselves off it and they judge their lives off it. And then they feel shitty about themselves and where they're at. And what it really comes down to, and I don't know how you get into this sooner because I didn't get into it until this year and I'm 31 years old. But I am finally at a point in my life where I am so confident and I've got so much self-love for myself and I know who I am and what I stand for and what I have to offer that I don't give a fuck what anybody else says or thinks. And that's really where people need to be with this whole social media thing is like people need to find themselves. They need to know who they are, know who what their truth is, what they believe in, and just stick to it. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody else fucking says.
I want to take your tangent and make it into a mega tangent and just tack on like a lot of what you're saying is also true for porn. And that's where a lot of these younger kids they're going to these websites. Chad mentioned, all right,
I finished all of you porn, all of it. Just kidding.
They're incels. They can't get laid, and then everyone's on porn sites seeing like all this stuff. They're like, man, why do these guys? They can basically get these women to do whatever they want. I'm being nice. I'm complimenting all these chicks. I'm going for it, and I can't reciprocate that at all. Maybe there's something wrong with me. So I'm not like against porn or anything, but there are studies out there that are showing, especially the younger kids, like again Chad said, when your mental development's still going on, it can be very unhealthy. So I don't know.
A lot of things too is like fucking role models, man. Like who did these kids grow up with? You know, if their parents don't give a fuck about them, or they're abused, or they're in a shitty situation, like almost 90% of all this, I guarantee you, stems from childhood and how the fuck you were brought up.
Oh,
and they go to porn sites to feel better.
Yeah,
I mean, and
all
seriously,
this shit is to feel better, right?
Yeah,
like you don't feel good, so let's hop on social media.
Yeah,
you don't feel good, so let's go go to Pornhub.
Yeah, I mean, there's a stat right here that says there's a stat right here. Yeah, I'm on it right now, guys. That's what I'm reading. All these facts. That's where you're getting all of it. 40.
What that slapping was.
Oh shit!
Nearly 48 million people in this country experience mental illness every year. Illness. Or diagnosed with. And it also says here that most of them are between the ages of like 17 and 21.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And the most severe cases, that's 50 million people. That's insane. I mean, yeah, pun intended.
Yeah.
But it's kind of, that's the thing, is those are the people we need to reach. We need to reach out to those younger that are developing, that see social media as this way where all their friends are having this great life. But I promise you, like you're both, well, all of you were saying, it's not, social media is not the window into people's souls.
And it doesn't fucking matter. Like real relationships with real people is what matters.
But people that age don't see that, because they think it does matter because, oh, my Instagram sucks. I need to go out and, do something cool, or go get drunk and show me having a good time with all these people. And when I don't have that, none of these girls want to talk to me. These young men, they get anxious. And they get anxiety and they get mental. And all of a sudden it becomes this thing where it's like, hey, my dad's got a gun.
I say you got to keep yourself busy,
noise,
man. Like,
I agree.
Get into sports, get into MMA, get into wrestling, do something.
Yeah.
Don't just sit around and worry about what other people are doing.
It's really, it seems easy for us because we all had really good childhood. I mean, we had parents, even if your childhood wasn't like you say the best, something along the line inspired you to do better.
Yeah. We weren't getting burned with cigarette butts as kids.
Right. And some of these, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's the underlying issue. And there's just a ton of that. And that's the thing, is mental illness begets more mental illness. And again, we don't have to go on a tangent, but there's a really good point in that movie Joker. His whole life was basically lied to by his mom, who's mental, right? Mm-hmm. And so he became mental. It's a vicious cycle. And same thing happens with poverty. Same thing happens with uneducated people, disenfranchised people, West Virginia coal miners, their daddies and their daddy's daddy. And same
thing happens on the opposite end of the coin too. Like Gata's kid's going to be set up for success because he's driving those morals into him. If Gata was a psycho and doing the same shit, it'd be the negative aspect of that.
And that's true.
You can be positive.
100% agree with that.
I want to say that fear drives fear, man. And with this coronavirus, what we're doing right now is there's mass hysteria. People are freaking out. People are buying more shit than they need. It's just a fear-based society right now, and fear drives fear. So whenever people are all scared, and we're living in this fear-based society where governments are shutting down and people are doing, the government's declaring martial law and all this shit, it's going to bring out more fear in everybody. And if there's somebody that's mentally unstable like this guy already, this is just going to add to it. And you're going to see shit like this happen. I know people have died and people are going to die from this. I'm not saying that it's going to be an easy thing. But there's only so much that you can fucking control. And what you can control is distancing yourself from people, not going to public events, stay 6 feet away from everybody, wash your fucking hands, sanitize your house, sanitize your car, use hand sanitizer, take care of yourself. Outside of that, there's no point to be in fear, because if everybody's going to fucking get it, then guess what? You're going to get it. Sorry, bro, but it's going to happen, So be happy and live through this and look at the gratitude in your life still, and maybe take this for something that's a good opportunity. Like, it's never good when people die. And I'm not saying that it's good that people are going to die, elderly mainly, but it's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that maybe this is an opportunity to look at your life and realize what's really important. Instead of being so fast paced and so into all these mundane activities every day that we think are, the most important things in the world, but really don't fucking matter. Maybe slow it down. Like, hey, now you're quarantined. You have to work from home. Like, you have to spend more time with the family. Even the dogs, the dogs that are in kennels for 8 hours a day. Now you get to be out with them all day long. Like, take this and use it as an opportunity to get to know who you are and what is important for you in your life. And if you are a faith-based person like me, I believe in God, use it to get closer to your higher power, man. Like, maybe if you don't believe in God, that's cool. But for me, it's like, I believe that there's going to be good that comes out of this in our society, even though things are shitty now and people are dying and that sucks. I'm not saying that that's good, but I think good things will come out of this. And if this can bring you closer to your higher power, closer to your roots, closer to knowing who you are, closer to loving yourself, closer to your kids, closer to your family, and get you out of that fast pace, like, this is what fucking matters, and actually get you into what really matters, then I don't know, man. It's not as bad.
Before we wrap up, I do want to touch base with Dylan as far as the real estate goes, because 30 units at 24 years old is completely
crazy,
nuts.
man.
So where would somebody, whether they're 24 or 42 or 62, where's someone start doing some of those same things?
Yeah, I was thinking about this last night.
You have 30 houses or 30 units?
30 units. So
you have some like multiplexes?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
The houses are five houses equaling 30 units.
Nice.
But I was thinking about this last night. The key to it is just getting started. Whether that means you need to borrow money to get started, whether that means, someone else has the money and you're coming in and you know how to do the labor of it, if you're a construction worker, whatever it is. But I just think about in August, I bought my first, it was actually a fourplex. I turned it into a fiveplex, bought it for $48,000, put $40,000 of work into it, and it just appraised for $170,000. But I think the key to it is just getting started. Like I said, in August, I basically had to borrow a ton of money to buy that first house. And now just last week, we closed on a 15-plex worth over $400,000. We had to write a $70,000 check, and it didn't even affect my day-to-day life.
Wow.
So that's the big thing. It's just getting started in the power of real estate, stocks, any investment. I like real estate. I feel like it's the safest bet. Everyone's got to have somewhere to live. But just getting started, buy that first one, however you got to do it.
So real estate's slow money, right? But it's good money, and it's like you're completely right. So you have to get the money to buy the first one. Say you took a loan out on the first one. The first one may take you 5-10 years to pay off.
Yeah.
But once you get that one paid off, then you refi, buy another one, and then you have 2 units paying off one opposed to 1 unit paying off one.
It just compounds.
Yeah, so then that one you're paying it off in 3 years. Then you refi both of those. They're both paid off. You buy 2 more. Now you have 4. Yeah, 4 paying for 2.
Yeah.
So, so it's like the first one might take you 5 to 10 years to pay off. But if you have that time and continue to roll it and continue to throw the money back into the real estate and buy more, then eventually you're going to be able to pay off. Say you get to a point to where you're at, say those are all paid off. Mm-hmm. You could buy another fiveplex and probably pay it off in a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then you're just rolling, man. Then 10 years down the road or 20 years down the road, you've got $15 million worth of property paid for. You've got a rental income coming in that's, say $20,000 a month or whatever it is. I'm just throwing a number out there.
Yeah.
But you can live off that the rest of your life. for minimal work, you can hire a management company to manage them if you really want to. You can live off that the rest of your life, and then you still have, like, you can either sell it or pass it on to your kids, and you still have that 15 million or 20 million or whatever it's worth that you can either sell and use down the road or pass on to your children.
Yeah, it's the same with life insurance or anything. It's legacy planning. We're planning for our kids so they can have a better start than we had, and our grandkids, and that type of stuff. So I agree.
Cool.
So yeah, if you're listening to this or watching and you have questions about, like, what are these guys talking about? What have I been doing my whole life? These guys obviously know what they're doing. They're stacking their chips, and I'm over here trying to make ends meet. Like, step one is reach out to Dylan, even reach out to Tyler, because you're obviously very knowledgeable too. If you're don't reach out to me. I can't help you. I can point you in their direction, but find an expert, find someone you can trust. And yeah, if you're not making your money work for you and you're just depending on whatever service you're providing for those paychecks to roll in, we're in the moments right now that maybe you can't go to work. Maybe you can't even bring a check home for your family. So if your real estate or your investments are out there working for you, it's like, do your part and get it rolling.
At the very least, man, make sure that your family's taken care of. Like, this is a Dads Who Live podcast, so most of the people this is going to go to have families and kids, and shit can be cheap. Like, how much is $1 million a term a month?
$40 a month.
$40 a month. So for $40 a month, at the very least, you can make sure that when you die, all your debt's paid off and your kids left with a little bit of money. So this has been a podcast, man. We once again went through a lot of shit. So a lot of wild shit, lots of tangents, but it's also a crazy time that we're living in, so there's a lot of things to cover, and I think it's good. It was all good knowledge. So if you guys like this podcast, found anything useful, found it entertaining, found it please give us a like and share. We do this stuff for free. We need your support. So please give us a like and share. We're on all the
SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify. We'll be on YouTube. YouTube's our main, and definitely, like Tyler said, help us out.
Yep.
Get in on the ground floor. This podcast is going to blow up. I'm happy to be on season 1 of it. So thank you for letting me be on.
Yeah, thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanhanks for coming, dude. I really appreciate it. So, all right, guys, take it easy.
Beneath them speeches trying to air a grievance, but his lines are overhead, better check the air for clearance. Call the tower, this is ours, clear the heat, the air apparent. Really I've never been better. Legacy, this is forever. All the more times I've been severed, I'm raising the bar, you can go ahead and measure. Think about time for a toast. Time that we welcome to go. Yo, we're just leaving, I think about time.
On next week's episode of the Dads Who Live podcast, we talk to Alan Roberts of the Every Damn Day Fitness YouTube channel. You guys aren't going to want to miss that one.
Clear the heat, the air apparent. Really I've never been better. Legacy, this is forever. All the more times I've been severed, I'm raising the bar, you can go ahead and measure. Think about time for a toast. Time that we welcome to go. Yo, we're just leaving, I think about time that somebody go get on their coat. You know I got all that anthem, come back, ain't what you call.